So we're live on YouTube now.
Very cool.
Cool. Awesome. Okay.
So
And
count us down when you're ready.
absolutely. And 3, 2, and 1.
Hey everyone, what's going on? I know you're not used to seeing me in this capacity on this day in this manner, but it's the same place. Welcome everyone, and we're live. That's the name of the show. And remember, I told you guys that there were some other things coming down the pipeline. Well, maybe you don't know because I'm on Curtis's page. My name is Tachi, or Dr. Tachi, and I'm a media professor, a filmmaker, a media content creator. I'm also a journalist, and I'm joined today with Curtis Brooks from Curtis Brooks Media Productions. Hey, Curtis. You all right there? We can't hear you.
Hey, what's going on, Dr. Tachi? How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. That took a long time for you.
Right. The mic was muted, trying to, lessen all the noise that, kind of
Yeah,
bring
no, I
into the
get it.
show.
I get it. Which is actually one of the, the first rules in managing all things video and live streaming. And
Absolutely.
so this is what we actually wanted to do today. We wanted to come on really briefly for about half an hour and talk a little bit about the wonderful world of video and live streaming. And so before we get started, I'm going to give you a little fun fact. So those of you know that streaming networks, OTT, or over the top, you know that those are big things nowadays, where most people, not, I shouldn't say most, but many people are cutting the cord. Increasingly, more people have cut the cord than actually subscribe to cable now, I think. And there are a lot of them, YouTube TV, etc. There's one called Philo. Have you heard about Philo?
I have not. Is that another streaming network?
It's another
Right.
streaming network. It's similar to a Sling. It's similar to
Hmm.
YouTube TV. Same thing. You could get a package of channels. And I'm not sure all the channels they offer, but this is another one. Everybody is getting into the streaming game. Remember,
Right.
we've been talking about this the whole time. So, fun fact for you: historically, the term Philo, it's spelled exactly the same way too. Philo Farnsworth was actually in 1927. He was a farm boy who actually discovered that the same waves that sound rides on, the radio waves, that images could also ride on as well. So he's really credited as being the inventor of TV.
That is absolutely so cool because that's information I didn't know, and I guess you would have to go to school to to find that information out. But it really is good information because I think a lot of times we we have this technology and we just don't know where it came from, and some people may not
Mhm.
want to know that, but it's just kind of a, like you said, just a good fact to know.
It is. It's good to know from where things came from. So
Mhm.
all this that we're doing today, this is the I guess the grandchild of what TV was. So we can credit Philo Farnsworth for knowing this. And let me tell you the name of his device. So 1927. So we're going all the way back then, at the very beginning of the 20th century. He invented the first fully functional all electronic image pickup device known as the video camera tube.
Hmm.
Yes. So we can credit him with the fact that we can even watch ourselves today.
It is absolutely really, really cool. And now, like you said, I think yesterday on the show there, it's essentially the same technology, but yet presented in a different form.
Yes.
You know,
Same thing, different form.
absolutely. So, yeah, I am listening. So, believe it or not, when you're doing media scope,
Ah!
so
And
I'm
most of
learning
the
some
time, I
things.
don't think you're listening,
Yeah,
but I'm
so
glad.
I'm learning some things, but yeah. So Tachi and I decided to really just kind of link up because of her expertise, my expertise. Tachi's been a professor for quite some time now. I've been teaching in this space, and so she definitely knows her stuff. And she and I have been working for almost what, 3 years now?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
almost three.
so. Almost three
Yeah,
years. Yeah.
almost 3 years. But yeah, so we've kind of been, again, working together in this space for quite some time now, and so we've learned a few things. We've kind of gone through some growing pains as well as any kind of production will, or just life in itself. You're kind of going to go through those growing pains, and so we've done that, and we wanted to put this together so that we could share with you some of those things so that you can lessen those growing pains. Doesn't mean that they're not going to be there, but we're going to try and help you lessen those growing pains and establish yourself as the title of the show here. Let me put that up here. So I'm kind of the cameraman and the so you can own your space, establish yourself in the live stream and video arena. So that's our goal here, is to give you that content to help you promote your business, build your brand, and again, to be recognized in the online space, because we know, and I'm sure that you know, that most people are spending a lot of time online. They have their phones. They're not carrying around a desktop or a laptop. In some cases, they are, but they have their phone, their mobile device readily accessible, and they can just check your information at the moment's notice. And so it's good to make sure that that we're establishing ourselves in the online space with video and live stream. So that's what we're talking about today.
Absolutely, absolutely. And why? So why is this important? I think the thing is, video is very heavily regarded in online spaces and social media, etc. In fact, there are more people that will watch a video than will read your blog
Right.
post. Although people read, unfortunately, not a whole lot of people read as much.
Right.
Probably, the thing is, the way our modes of transportation and the way we do things are changing. So maybe they'll listen to a podcast, right? But they
Right.
may not read. Maybe they'll watch a video, but they may not read. So you may want to think about, how can I transfer that knowledge that I've been writing into something like a podcast or video, right?
Right. Right.
So that's actually what we're going to talk about today for the next few minutes. Yes, sir?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay. So basically, why? When we're talking about these things, we're asking ourselves why. Well, why do I have to care about video? Why do I need to care about going live? Um, Part of this is to help you become an authority in the space. People believe in, whether you believe in experts or not, people believe in experts, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think they want to know that this person is the
Yeah.
authority on that. and
Absolutely.
and it makes you at least look more knowledgeable when you have this
Right.
type of operation going, when you are
Right.
doing videos, when you're teaching, right, and transferring information through video. It makes you look fantastic. So that's one reason to master being in the video space, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So anything to add, MC?
Well, I mean, really, I mean, you just kind of said it. You've kind of said it all. And just it's a lot
Mhm.
there, because it's not just creating video or just being in front of the camera. It's just really, as Tachi said, your authority. Because when you're creating a video, you want to make sure that one, your background represents your sense of knowledge, and that could be purposely having a book that you wrote, or you being an author, you being a coach. It could be, it could be a lot of different things, but yet you have those things essentially staged. And Tachi, there's a name for that, and which I love. And
Yes,
yeah,
please tell us what it is. And before you do, can
mhm,
I say hi to Sharon Lee Gaither? Welcome.
absolutely. Hey, Sharon, what's going on, girl?
Yes.
I'm not looking at the page here, but
I am, so don't worry. Go ahead.
yes, so that's another reason why we should be, or it's not so much when you're live streaming or creating a video, you want to make sure that you are recognizing your audience, and so Tachi does it absolutely extremely well. So that's really important. But lost my train of thought. Where was I at?
Somewhere in the ethers.
Yeah, I
So
know, right?
you're thinking
Right,
about
right.
that. Well, you were going to bring up the fact. Sharon says this is an awesome topic, but I think
Yeah,
you were going to bring up the fact we were still on the why aspect of it.
yeah, the why of it. Yeah, so yeah, as you're live streaming again, as
Oh, the
Tachi.
word. I'm sorry. There was a word for this why and establishing
Gotcha,
yourself as a.
gotcha,
So
gotcha.
tell us what it is,
Yes,
MC.
yes, yes, and I'll have you elaborate on because you're the professor. But
Yeah.
any event, whatever. Touch. The word is mise en scene,
Okay.
and
You want me to elaborate?
yes, please do.
Okay.
Yeah, yes. I'm sorry.
So I thought you were thinking of the word niche. in terms of establishing yourself
Mm,
in the space,
uh-huh.
creating a niche.
Right.
But mise en scène, yes,
Yes.
or mise en scene, whatever.
Mhm, mhm,
Uh, that's the concept of taking, and as a filmmaker, this is what
mhm.
we do: looking at the entire scene. So
Sure.
you know when you watch a television show or a movie, and you see in the frame, right, in this frame right here, everything that's in
Right.
there. So not only the subject, but also what's in the background. Are there
Right.
lamps in the background? Is
Sure.
there a sofa? Is somebody, meddling around back there? Is
Sure.
there something that fell over? The entire look of the scene, that is what mise en scène is.
Right.
So you're considering everything. You're
Right.
considering the entire look of the scene, the entire scene, when you're doing this type of thing.
Right.
And I think too many people don't. Oh my
Right.
gosh, respect your
Yeah,
audience, people.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Respect your audience. Here's the thing, and I know we're kind of going left in a minute, but I'll come back
Mm,
to center. When you're doing these types of things, you need to have what's called an audience centered approach. You're not doing this just for yourself. I mean,
absolutely.
maybe you'd like to do it just for yourself, but you're not doing it just for yourself. You're
Right.
doing it for an audience, for other people. Why would you not keep them at the center of whatever it is you want to do? Right?
Absolutely.
So take an audience centered approach. And by taking an audience centered approach, you're considering everything in there, the mise en scène. You are respecting your audience when you do
Yes.
that. So it's like, do you have a bunch of junk in the background? Remove it or go someplace else, right? Are
Right. Right.
children screaming in the
Right.
background?
Right.
Unless it's a video about children and children screaming, and maybe it's a family video where that's appropriate,
Right.
get them out of there, get rid
Right.
of that. So you don't want any distractions. You want to respect your audience enough that the setting and the entire mise en scène, I don't want to say pristine, because that then gives the impression that it has to be perfection, and I
Absolutely.
don't necessarily believe in that. Do you, MC?
Absolutely not. But I think I would just say, going to say that it does have to be intentional.
Yes.
It, and it just does, and that's why I think a lot of times people kind of just shy away from the video, or live stream. Is because it takes time. As Tachi
Hmm.
and I, Tachi understands it, is that even before we do a show, we are testing. At times, we are going over, not so much a script, because Tachi's, she's the host of the show, but
Script? What script?
yeah, right, exactly. So not meaning a script, but you just want to know, you just want to be prepared to know what you're going to say, and it's the timing of everything as well. Where do you fit? Where do you bring, or where do you segue into this point, and then yet to another point? So,
Hmm.
and I
Hmm.
think, but yeah. So let's make sure we get back on track, and we're talking about why.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that basically is your why: to become an
Right.
expert or to become an authority in the field, so that
Right.
people believe you, right?
Absolutely.
So that
Absolutely.
people know, like, and trust you. When
Right.
they know, like, and trust, and they believe you, right? You have credibility.
Right.
That's when they're more likely to partake in the other things that you have,
Yeah,
right?
and people, with all Tash you just mentioned, people like to buy from people who are confident. They're confident
Yes.
about what they're selling. They're confident in how they are describing a product or telling a story. And as Tachi mentioned, they're believable.
Absolutely. And there are a whole lot of confident fools, but don't
Yeah,
people buy from
absolutely.
confident fools?
All the time.
All the
Absolutely.
time.
All the
Why do you
time.
think these schemes? Okay, the
Right.
as seen on TV stuff. That
Right.
doesn't mean none of it works, but
Right.
there are a lot of things that you don't see anymore because it's gotten like bad reviews and it doesn't work. But the initial sales pitch, the initial getting and drawing you in there and getting you to trust them,
Right.
that worked. I'm not saying use
Absolutely.
trickery and debauchery, but the whole
Absolutely.
thing is you can kind of use that as a device to gain people, right? To get people in, but you want to do it in
Absolutely.
a real and authentic
Well,
way, right?
absolutely. Well, absolutely, and that's the reason why a lot of these people, these spokesmen and women, I should say, how the reason why they're so excited, because people like people who are excited about what they're doing, what they're selling you, and
Yes.
and so I don't know, Tachi, if you remember Ronco. So when you mentioned the kind
The
of the
one that has a whole bunch of
yeah,
products?
they got tons
Yeah,
of products, but
yeah.
they would have their, most of their pitch men and women, they're just over the top,
Exactly.
with energy, and essentially you have to come off that way because people don't, and even with the show, when Tachi and I do Mediascope, I purposely, and I'm typically kind of a melancholy person, but there's times where I get a little excited, right, Tachi?
I'm sorry. Please don't.
Whatever. Whatever. But when you're on screen, you do need to have that level of enthusiasm because, most no one wants to buy it. Yeah, it's blue. What color do you want?
It works.
It you know
It runs.
you know right, right.
I think, and that's the thing when you keep your audience in mind. Sorry to interrupt you,
Yes.
but
No,
that's
no,
the
no,
thing
you're
when you
fine.
keep. Thank you. I was going to do it anyway, but that's the
Whatever,
thing
Tachi.
that when
Not
you
today, girl.
see, but that's the thing to keep in mind when you
Right.
keep your audience in mind and audience centered.
Right.
Audiences want to be informed, but they
Absolutely.
sure want to be entertained. So we already mentioned that I am a professor, and I've been a college professor for the past 18 years. Simply because these are college students
Yeah.
doesn't mean that they don't want to be entertained, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I'm like spent and tired
Yeah.
by the time I finish teaching classes
Yes.
because I have performed for however long that class is.
Mhm.
And you see the difference between professors who just transmit information and the ones who actually care about their students getting it. And so they take the extra mile.
Right.
And so, that's the thing that you have to do. I'm keeping my audience at the center at all times. And if you watch Mediascope, that transfers over to what I do with Mediascope. Part of it is because that's just my personality anyway, but part of it is because I've been teaching for 18 years and I know
Right.
that you have to engage people. And the key
Absolutely.
thing is engagement, right? And encouraging them to engage. And so in the spirit of that, let me say, hey Jay, how are you? Good to see you. It's been a minute since yesterday. So good to see you. Thank you for being here. Okay, so when we talk about that, all doing all of that, we're also the why is also bringing value, right, to audiences. They need a reason to listen to you. So all of this is in the preparation, in the pre-stages. Before you ever get up and talk about anything or talk about any subject, what you need to do is understand your why, right? But then understand what it is you're offering to your audience as to why they're even going to listen to you in the first place.
Right.
What is the value that you bring to the conversation? What do you add to the space that nobody else adds to the space? Or even
Right.
if somebody else is doing it, why is it different when you do it?
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think that's a really great point, Tachi, is because, most of us, we're not just doing something just to be doing because we have nothing else to do. So you want to make sure that you're not wasting people's time when you're
Mhm.
doing a live stream with just something just random. And, again, there's a space for that as well because some people like random stuff. Seinfeld, speaking of random, was one of my favorite shows. But
Somehow I'm not surprised. Go ahead.
yeah, whatever, Tachi. But again, you want to make sure that you are coming on with a purpose, as far as answering, as Tachi
Mm,
mentioned, answering someone's question or solving a problem in a unique way.
absolutely. So
Mhm.
far we've talked about under becoming an expert or
Right,
actually um,
becoming an authority.
honing your niche,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Carving a niche out in the space,
Right,
understanding your why. Okay. And
right,
then we've also just now, we talked about respecting your audience
sure.
and
Mhm.
making sure that you have the best mise en scène you
Right,
could possibly have to respect your audience. And that kind of comes later with what we'll talk
sure.
about in terms of actually,
Hmm.
executing
Right,
video and stuff. And then, we've talked about
engagement as
bringing
well.
engagement
We
and
mentioned
then
engagement.
bringing value. What
Right,
value do you bring to the space? And
right,
again, simply because someone else is streaming, live streaming, or doing videos on your topic, don't say, oh, well, it's curtains for me. I can't do it now.
right, right, right. The show's
And
over.
scene. The show is over.
Right,
No,
right,
your show is over.
right,
Okay.
right,
The Academy Award goes too.
right.
No, it doesn't
For the
have to
drama.
be that way. The drama.
Yeah,
Exactly. What
exactly.
is it that you do different? I mean,
Right.
for the things we talk about, look, there are other people that are talking about video and live streaming,
Sure.
right? But what
Sure.
is it that we bring different?
Right.
Quickly, I'll say, and then you could probably say,
Yeah.
okay, the fact that this is something that I actually teach, I actually have a PhD in it,
Mhm.
and I've been doing it now for actually over 4 years, because
Right.
before all these other things came in, I was doing Google Hangouts,
Right.
right?
Right.
So I've been doing it now since like 2011 ish or so.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
Definitely.
So what about you? Why should people listen to us, or what makes you the authority in terms of this space?
Good question. No,
You know.
well, no. I think because with anything that you are venturing out into the space of with live stream or video, is that there's absolutely going to be a learning curve for
Hmm.
you know anything that you're just starting. And I've been in this space for me personally. I've been in this space for about 8 years. And I was sharing with Tachi is that I also did Google Hangouts with Wirecast, and so I've had Wirecast for quite some time now, and been just messing around with it. But in the last few years, I've gotten really more serious with live streaming and video because
Hmm.
because I think like even with me and Tachi do the show for our Mediascope, I think that both of us create a really nice synergy. She's energetic and I'm not as energetic, but it's a nice synergy that goes on, nice balance, and I really enjoy doing the show with her. But
Oh,
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 but
okay,
uh,
enough.
but I think I think going back to just as Tachi mentioned earlier, is kind of just really about what the title of the show is, owning your space. Is that
Hmm.
it truly is about becoming an authority in that space because people don't want to listen to someone who is not confident, who's not sure about what they're talking about, who really has not set the stage for what they're going to be discussing, and who's not prepared or who doesn't know their topic.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, before we move on really
Mhm.
quickly, that reminds me of something. Remember when we were talking about presentation making? Because
Right.
guess what, guys? You are making a presentation to your
Absolutely.
audience. This is 100% a presentation. So, the same
Absolutely.
way you would prepare for a presentation is the same way you should prepare to do a video or a live stream. Have some
Right.
basic notes. I mean, we will talk about this later
Right.
on, in subsequent streams, subsequent episodes.
Mhm.
But let's think about credibility. We talked about becoming an authority in your field, carving out that niche and becoming an authority in that niche. Okay, so there are three types of credibility. I'm getting a little academic on you now,
Yeah.
like the
Please do.
show It's Academic. So first you have initial credibility. That's the credibility that you walk into the room with.
Right.
Now, unless you have a big title and people already know you, most of the time you walk into the room and you may not have very much credibility, right?
Right.
But if
Right.
you're coming to speak, usually if you've been invited to speak, you have some sort of credibility. So, okay, for example, you are coming there to speak about some new medical procedure and you are a doctor, right? So the audience is going to assume you know damn something about medicine because you have the MD after your name and whatever else to call you to, so that you're Dr. Such and such, right? So that's initial credibility. Derived credibility is the credibility that you start to gain throughout the process of speaking. So, as we're doing this live stream, even if you've never seen Curtis and myself before, you start to get the gist. Okay, these people know a little bit of something that they're talking about. Okay, you start to uncross your arms a little bit because you're starting to realize that we have some level of knowledge. So, we're deriving that credibility. The terminal credibility is the type of credibility you have at the end, kind of like the combination of the two. Once you've done the speech or once you've done the presentation really well, at the end of it, your audience comes away with something and they're like, that person was good. That's that terminal credibility. So, three types of credibility that you have in a speaking situation: initial, derived, and then terminal. I just wanted to put that out there because you talking about that, Curtis, made me remember that.
That's good stuff, though. It really is.
Hmm.
It really is, and because it's going to, it really, that yeah, that's really super stuff. Because as you're putting together your presentation, you could easily touch bases on each of those points, as Tachi mentioned, each of those points in the area of credibility, and have the perfect speech.
Absolutely. And remember,
You know,
credible means believable, right?
absolutely.
It means to be believed. So you are playing on your
Right.
audience's willingness to believe in you and believe
Absolutely.
in what you say. That is key. If people don't
Yeah.
believe you, hang up. Hang up your cleats. I don't know why I
Absolutely.
use cleats, but hang
Ab-
up your cleats.
absolutely.
Right?
Show's over. Yeah.
Show's
Absolutely.
over.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. And as you mentioned, credibility. What is to your credit?
uh-huh.
What have you
Uh-huh.
done? To your credit that you can esteem yourself in a way that it is respectful to the audience that that's listening and or that will watch later. But again, what is to your credit that you can esteem yourself in such a way that it's not over the top.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. And Jay says, good info. I'm
yeah,
glad. I'm glad you guys are getting something out
yeah,
of this. Good
absolutely.
stuff. Good stuff. All right, so let's continue on because we said we were going to keep this to about half an hour. And
Yeah,
although we always lie about time,
yeah. The
um,
media scope
look, don't
kind
be
of
putting media scope in here and what we do.
tendencies.
It's a different case altogether, son.
Okay, where those tendencies are
The
kind of
tendencies are there. We're already in this, so the
right,
tendencies
right,
are there. They're ingrained. So, giving examples of, so one thing that I wanted to hint on, and we talked about this already, but simply because you don't, to be an expert doesn't mean you need to know everything.
right.
No, because I think learning is consistent.
Absolutely.
You are always coming across information. In fact, personally, I have a slight problem with the word expert because
Mm,
that indicates that you've learned everything that you need to learn and there's nothing else for you to learn. So
mm,
I know that expertise is a big thing and people like to use experts, which is okay. But personally, I feel that once you call yourself an expert, there's this tendency to rest on your laurels. So what I don't want you to do is to rest on your laurels once you've
right,
done that, because there is always something new to learn. And so also in terms of expertise, this is the thing. Maybe you don't understand, like you want to use a live streaming encoder, which we'll talk about at
right,
some point, and you want to send your broadcast signal out to Facebook Live, to Periscope, to
right,
YouTube, to Twitch, and do all these things simultaneously, but you don't understand that. Well, you may not necessarily need to learn to understand that,
right.
or, at least have a basic working knowledge, but you may not need to do it. This is where relationships are key and are very important, right? So,
Absolutely.
the synergistic relationship that MC Curtis, I keep calling you MC because of the show, but that Curtis and I have,
It's
um,
Curtis today.
yeah, I thank you very much. I know. Anyway, Curtis. So the synergy that Curtis and I have comes because we have a specialization in terms of our division of labor. So even though I understand the tech end and the live streaming end, it's a lot to do by
Sure.
myself. So this is where Curtis comes in, where he is sending out the signals. Hook up with people who know
Right.
what you don't know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I would add to that what you just said, Tachi, is that I think that one of the things, and I think I shared this with you a while ago, is that I the word what is it? What do they say? Um, what's the word they use? I think entrepreneur, not entrepreneur, but they use kind of like that self-made entrepreneur I can't remember the term
Oh,
right now.
like a yeah, self-made
Yeah,
millionaire,
yeah, something
self-made.
like that.
I can't stand that nonsense.
Yeah,
There's no
but
such thing.
exactly, exactly, and that's just my point. Is there is no such thing as that a person is going to become successful by themselves. Absolutely not. Because
Never happened.
yeah, exactly. So I think as part of what Tachi just mentioned is that, you want to make sure that you're linking up with people who know what you don't know because you don't have to do it all. And as an entrepreneur, Tachi's an entrepreneur as well. I think we have all been there. We have all been there. And we've heard the message from someone else actually that, hey, you don't have to do it all by yourself, Curtis. You don't have to do it all by yourself, Tachi. So we've
No.
heard the same message before. Uh, and we are just wanting to share it with you and say that you don't have to do it all by yourself. So the good idea or a good idea would be to collaborate, as Tachi mentioned, find someone who knows what you don't know, and just collaborate. You can offer them something, and they can offer you something in return. And I learn a lot from working with Tashi, because of her space and, as a professor. And so I enjoy working with her. But again, this is just a collaboration or synergy that we share. And I think that if we can get into that mindset and trying not to do it all, trying not to
Mhm.
be the big shot, you're gonna, and if you're going to be the big shot, it's going to come because of your collaboration and your relationships that you are building.
Right, right. I mean, what good is it to be a big shot by your damn
Yeah,
self on your
absolutely.
own damn island? You
Absolutely.
you you need other people. It is
Absolutely.
critical that you have other people.
Right.
And so, don't always think about things also initially in terms of money. So,
Right.
many of us that are in the streaming space and in the video space, unless you have the good fortune to be working for a major
Mhm.
media company, you're doing things on a shoestring budget, right? We're
Right.
doing things, and nowadays you can, because equipment is so inexpensive that you're able to do all these things. Set up a studio for relatively cheaply or
Right.
relatively
Right.
inexpensively.
Right.
So, you don't always have to think about these things in terms of money. Talk to each other. And like Curtis said, what is it that you can offer each other as a barter that would work,
Yes.
at least initially? That doesn't mean that you always have to do that. But
Right.
if there's somebody that really has expertise that you need,
Mhm.
ask yourself, what can you offer them that would bring them on board?
Right.
What value so you're looking at a synergistic relationship with what value do you bring to each other? And I will say this: make sure that you are working with people that believe in whatever it is you're doing.
That's good stuff right there.
This is, and I'm saying this from experience, as a
Mm.
filmmaker and doing things.
Yeah.
I've been there where people are like, oh, well today nothing. And because I'm like, I'm ready to go, I'm ready to
Right.
shoot. So you have to have people that are just as invested in whatever it is
Right.
as you are, right? Everybody should feel like they are part of the pie.
Yes.
Part of the pie. That sounds like people are baked into a pie. Let me use a different thing. People that they are part of the organization or part of the whole,
Yeah.
right? So
Exactly.
I think that's the thing. And for example, I started doing Mediascope in, actually, we're coming up on 4 years, July 29th,
Mhm.
2015, and it was just me who started doing it, and then Curtis came on board. But
Mhm.
it doesn't feel like Curtis, it's me and then Curtis. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He
Right.
is part of the whole.
Right.
So get with people that believe in whatever the vision is for your live stream or for your video, if you're going to partner up, and
Mm.
then make sure they feel a part of it. Don't say this is mine. Okay,
Right.
make sure that they feel a part of it if you're really truly wanting to be inclusive in terms of
Right.
that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would add to what you're saying, Tachi, is that,
Okay.
this show that we're doing or that we will continue to do is, it's not just so much about live streaming. Do you know how to live stream? Do you know how to create a video? It's about establishing your space online because, again, as we mentioned earlier about credibility, that the no like trust factor, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
if you're building a business or you're creating a YouTube channel or Facebook videos, whatever the case might be, you want to make sure that your videos encompass many of the things that Tachi and I have already discussed.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
again, it's not just about who's creating a better video or a great live streaming. It's not about having the top of the line equipment because, as Tachi mentioned, most of the equipment most of the equipment is actually inexpensive, and a lot of the mobile devices, phones, your tablet, you can get an excellent picture from your mobile devices.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it really isn't about going out and trying to get the best of the best, but know that in the end, your motivation is really to establish yourself, the no like trust factor with live streaming and video. That's what this is about.
Absolute. Preach. Preach, Curtis. And we just had a live streaming master join us, Carlos Phoenix.
Hey, what's
Welcome.
up, Carlos? How are you, man?
Welcome, Carlos. Good to see you,
Absolutely.
sir. And also, Jay had a comment. He said it takes a tribe of people to raise
Sure.
kids. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
It really does. That's why sometimes we have so many kids running around helter skelter,
Right,
because
right,
they
right.
don't have that tribe. But think
Exactly.
about that. And think about this. I always say this: we are who we have in this space. We have
Mhm.
each other. So because we have um, collectively created
Sure.
this space, and even though these platforms existed before us, we created this
Right.
space. the users created the space. So
Absolutely.
why not, collaborate with you? I'm all about collaborations and doing things
Right.
together, because to me it's stupidity to have 10
Right.
million people doing 10 million of the same things.
Right.
If you
Right.
can collaborate, do so. And obviously we'll talk a little bit more down the road about
Right.
that. But I think that was our introduction to all of this. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think it was a actually a really good introduction. Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah. Carlos
Yeah.
Phoenix says, "I can offer everything you ever need." He really can.
Yeah. Yeah.
He
Absolutely.
he is Carlos is the complete everything, the
Yes.
complete show. And
The
so if you're
package, the
the
kind of
package,
the one shop, the
one
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 stop
stop shop,
shop.
one one
Absolutely.
one
Absolutely.
chop, not chop shop, one stop shop.
One stop shop.
Exactly. Exactly.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, MC.
Mhm.
This was a
Yeah, it
lot
was.
of fun. This was
Absolutely.
good, and we just scratched the surface. So
Absolutely.
we're going to continue to do these things every Thursday at 2 p.m. ish Eastern time.
Yeah.
And we'd love for you to join us, and we'll keep getting deeper into the world of video and live
Right. Right. Right.
streaming.
Right.
Once again, I am Tachi, or Dr. Tachi. I'm a media professor, filmmaker, media content producer, and also a journalist, joined by the very adept MC Curtis. Sorry,
Yes.
very adept Curtis Brooks from Curtis Brooks Media Productions.
Productions.
I keep
Absolutely.
mixing up shows. Sorry.
Yeah. No problem. No problem. No problem. No problem. I just like to say this really quick here. The one of
Sure.
the things that I love about video, and I think that for most of us, we've had someone tell our story for us.
Mm,
And so for me, and I think once many of you who are watching, who will watch a replay, the more you get into creating videos or live streams, you'll really find out that the power is really in your hand. I mean, literally,
hmm
because you finally get to tell your own story, and it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be over the top as far as expensive with all the gear, because there's a lot of gear out there, and the gear can get expensive, but you can tell your story in a inexpensive way, and it still have it come across very professional.
Absolutely, absolutely, and we'll talk more about
Right.
that in
Mhm.
the coming weeks in
Right.
terms of how to, and tricks and tips and
Sure.
things like that. But it's about, at this point, it's about sharing the knowledge. One thing that I want you all to really to leave with is that engaging people and creating your tribe in terms of
Yeah.
live streaming and video in general. Those are people that can become potential customers, right?
Right.
And potential
Absolutely.
partners. So those are the things
Absolutely.
you want to do with that. You're expanding your tribe. And what better way to do it than online? So
Absolutely.
so
Absolutely.
that's it. We have sufficiently worn ourselves out and
Oh,
probably
wow.
worn you out. But it went by really quickly.
It
This was
did.
great. It
It
did.
did.
It went by really quickly. So yeah, we'll be back here Thursday, same bad time, same bad channel on Periscope, Facebook Live, and
Mhm.
YouTube.
YouTube.
Maybe in the future, also some other platforms as well.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Awesome show, guys. Thanks for joining
All
us.
right,
And
guys.
all right, we'll talk to you.
Cheers.